Throughout the long history of the Empire of Trebizond, its vast military might had always been the main force used to subdue the masses, but alongside the sword, faith played an irreplaceable role in winning the hearts and obedience of the people. This balance ended during the regency of Grand Duke Averio of Caedros. Seeking to strengthen his control over the empire's wealth, Averio began confiscating church lands, taxing religious estates, and selling high offices to his supporters. These actions severely reduced the church's income and influence, angering the clergy. In response, Pope Eric XIII excommunicated both Averio and Emperor Escalating II in 997, declaring them unworthy of divine blessing. The excommunication damaged the emperor's reputation and encouraged several provincial lords to break away from the empire. Averio retaliated by supporting a growing sub-faction within the church. This group claimed that the emperor ruled by divine right and that loyalty to him was a sacred duty. The faith split into two opposing branches: the Orthodox Church, which remained loyal to the Pope and the old teachings; the Emporios Church, supported by Averio and the imperial court, recognized Emperor of Trebizond as the Pope. This division became known as the Great Schism. Tensions between the two sides quickly escalated. Averio ordered the seizure of Orthodox properties across the empire, and many bishops and priests were executed or driven into exile. Fearing for his safety, Pope Eric XIII relocated the church's headquarters to the remote northern island of Winterdiv, far from Averio's reach. From there, the Pope continued to oppose Averio through letters and decrees. Both sides threw insults at one another. Things began to escalate to a new level, starting with the Pope ordering the Emperor messenger to be flayed alive, and Averio responded by killing the church letter boy. In parallel with the ongoing beef with Averio, the Pope also started collecting tolls and taxing passing ships around the waters between Winterdiv and the city of Habad, which were traditionally controlled by the Hamabad Caliphate. This cut deeply into the Caliphate's profits and angered the Lord of Hamabad. When he voiced out his complaint toward the church, the Pope sent an assassin to kill him. His son discovered the culprit and retaliated soon after, sending his own assassin to Winterdiv. Pope Eric was killed during one of his outdoor visits in winter 1001. The life of a controversial figure who sparked the Great Schism had ended over some gold coins. Following his assassination, Cardinal Asco Profita was elected as Pope Asco IV. By then, the Sergian Church was permanently divided, its lands reduced, and its influence weakened. The conflict between the Empire and the rebel state of the Nigra Kingdom saw the Empire emerge victorious. With that victory, the Empire reclaimed a decent chunk of lost territories. Inspired by the Bataseches' triumph, other loyalists began eyeing their rebellious neighbors, ready to throw down the towel with them. In the summer of 1002, one of the empire's strongest loyalist states, the Archduchy of Luxemslavia, made its first move. The Archduchy, ruled by Archduke Baruz Davide, owned vast swaths of land east of Nastunian province. Once a decorated general of the 6th Legion who had defended the northern border against the Ice Orc, Baruz retired to his homeland after decades of service. Beloved by his people, he was voted as their supreme leader. He received the title of Archduke from Emperor Constantine XI, thus legitimizing his rule. When rebellion spread across the continent, he raised an army of 12,500 imperial loyalists and marched against the nearby rebel city-state of Kushkran. Kushkran was defended by Nodir Adenheim, known to our searcher as the Siege Master. Born into poverty, his father was a drug addict, his mother a bar waitress. The boy escaped his house on the 9th birthday. His carriage was attacked by bandits. Everyone was slaughtered, but he was spared and adopted into the group. Growing up into a fine man, he transformed his gang into a disciplined mercenary company. His fame began when he and his company repelled 100,000 undead from the Iron Mountains. Beneath the walls of Kushkran. For his merit, he was appointed the governor of the sea and became its protector. He went on to defend the fortress against countless adversaries, inadvertently earning the title of Siege Master. After Emperor Constantine XI's death, Nodir secured the strip of land north of the Iron Mountain. His territory was a barren and poor place in comparison to the lands held by prestigious noble houses. As such, against Archduke Baruz's large army, he could muster only 7,000 men to defend Kushkran. Nodir has Kushkran prepared for the siege. The moat was widened. Hidden mines were buried along the main approach. Siege engines were built, aimed at the field in front of the fortress. By the end of the summer, Luxemslavian army reached Kushkran. And shortly after, the siege began. The attackers swarmed towards Kushkran, but the defenders were well prepared and confident. After several failed assaults and heavy losses, the Archduke had no choice but to call off the siege. The Loyalists retreated in humiliation. It was a total defeat for the Empire. The defenders had little time to savor their resounding victory. To the west, King Knut zealous of the Mithril kingdom saw his chance. With Kushkran weakened by siege, he declared war and launched a massive invasion. The Mithril kingdom fielded 30,000 soldiers, heavily armed with Mithril gears. Headed by Knut's three sons, Bjorn, Erik, and Eirik Jealous. To strengthen his ranks and counter Nodo, Knut hired the fierce mercenaries of the Brotherhood of the Moon, commanded by the Slatter, the man many called the God of War, whose fame was on par with the Siege Master. The Brotherhood added 20,000 veterans. In total, a whopping 50,000 men marched towards Kushkran. By late autumn of 1002, the Mithril Kingdom's army arrived before the walls of Kushkran. From the ramparts, Nordur and his weary garrison of fewer than 4,000 defenders looked down upon the sea of Mithril banners in trepidation. The Mithril troops began the assault by sending the regular soldiers. But Kushkran's defenders had prepared every inch of the wall. Boiling oil, falling stones, and hidden mines tore through the attackers. Within hours, the Mithril lines broke, leaving the slopes littered with corpses. Enraged by the failure, the second wave came under Knut's own sons, Erik and Bjorn, leading the elite contingent of the army, their armor simmering under the sun. Prior to the attack, the Slatter offered to help the prince. However, their pride got the better of them. They mocked the mercenaries of the Brotherhood, insisting they could take the fortress on their own. As Erik led his men toward the main gate, a massive stone from Kushkran's catapult slammed straight into him, vaporizing his entire body. His brother Bjorn pressed on, furious, scaling the ladders under a hail of arrows. But as he reached the top, the defenders poured boiling oil from above. His armor turned into an oven. He fell screaming into the moat below, never to rise again. As the smoke settled, the Mithril camp fell silent. Two royal princes were dead, and the fortress still stood. The eldest prince Eirik Jealous, desperate for victory, swallowed his pride and called upon Daslata and his Brotherhood of the Moon. The third wave came at dawn. This time, Nodo and what was left of his men finally made their march. The elite and battle-hardened Brotherhood scaled the walls and took over the towers with ease. While the gates were broken down after the repeated assault, the defenders fought valiantly. But outnumbered and outmatched, they ultimately succumbed to the attackers. The seemingly impregnable Kushkran had fallen, its master captured. The fall of Kushkran shocked the world. With its lands now under its control, the Mithril kingdom rose to become the strongest of the rebel states. Despite losing 2 sons in the siege, Kana's greed quickly overpowered his grief. He offered Nodo a pardon and even a noble title if he swore loyalty. Nodo smiled, agreed, and waited. A month later, he invited Jealous, the last prince, into his office, stabbed him, looted his body, and vanished into the mountains. Realizing he'd been duped, Kana exploded with rage. Wanted posters for Nodo appeared in every city, and the king swore he would chase the man to the ends of the earth. In the end, though the victory at Kushkran briefly raised the Mithril kingdom's power and prestige, it came at a terrible price: the death of all the king's sons. This single triumph would soon set off a chain of events that changed the kingdom's fate forever.